All right, welcome back. Today we're not just explaining something, we are solving a case. It's a literary mystery, really, that involves one of the most successful writers in all of human history. So let's dive right in and see if we can uncover the clues behind the absolute phenomenon that is Agatha Christie.
Okay, let's start with our first piece of evidence. Just look at this number, 2 billion. And get this, that's the conservative estimate of how many of her books have been sold. It's a number so huge, it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around, right?
So to try and put that into perspective, think about every book ever written. Ever, in the entire history of publishing. Only 2 things have sold more copies: the Bible and the collected works of William Shakespeare. That's the list. Not Dickens, not Tolkien, not J.K. Rowling. She's right up there with the absolute titans.
Which, brings us to the central mystery we're trying to solve here. How? How is that possible? What's the secret that lets her stories grab a new generation over and over again? Well, that's the case we're going to crack. Let's start examining the evidence.
Our first clue isn't about who did it. It's all about how she told the story. The absolute genius of her structure is what we're going to call the perfect puzzle box.
Now, it's really easy to just dismiss her work as kind of simple or formulaic, but that would be a huge mistake. Her plots are an absolute masterclass in psychological manipulation. See, Christie isn't just telling you a story. She's actively playing a game with you, and the book itself is the game board.
And a key piece in that game is the red herring. Christie was the undisputed champion of the red herring. I mean, she perfected the art of making you look way over here, while the real clue was sitting right there in front of you the whole time. She leads you down this path, you're absolutely convinced you know who the killer is, and then bam! Turns out you were wrong all along. And this is the brilliant formula she used to do it. It almost always starts with a confined setting. A country house, a train, some isolated island, no escape. Then, a shocking murder just raises the stakes sky high. Next, you meet this whole parade of suspects, and every single one has a believable motive and, of course, a secret. She then lays out that trail of red herrings we just talked about, all before the grand reveal where the detective finally explains everything with this just breathtaking logic. And this is what makes her stories so addictive. They aren't passive, they're interactive. They're these perfectly designed puzzle boxes. She gives you every clue you need, she basically dares you to solve it, and then she clearly delights in revealing that one simple thing you missed. It's a challenge that is just impossible to resist.
But of course, a puzzle box is nothing without someone to solve it. So let's move on to our second clue, her iconic characters, who, for our case, are going to serve as the unforgettable witnesses to the truth.
And at the absolute heart of her universe are 2 of the most famous detectives in all of fiction: the meticulous Belgian, Hercule Poirot, and the quiet, unassuming English spinster, Miss Jane Marple. And what's so brilliant is just how completely different they are. You've got Poirot, who relies on his little gray cells, on pure methodical logic. He's vain, he has a huge ego, and he is obsessed with order. Miss Marple, on the other hand, she relies on her deep understanding of human nature, something she's learned from a lifetime of just watching people in her small village. She literally solves murders by comparing the suspects to folks she's known her whole life. It's logic versus intuition. This contrast is such a huge part of her appeal. It's like, whether you prefer Poirot's cold logic or Marple's empathetic intuition, Christie gives you a brilliant guide on 2 very different paths to the exact same destination: the truth. So we have the how, the puzzle box plot, the brilliant detectives. But now we need to figure out the why. What's the deep-down motive for our collective, century-long fascination? Well, the answer, I think, is a search for order in a very chaotic world.
I mean, think about it. Real life is messy. It's confusing. It's unjust, and a lot of the time it makes absolutely no sense. But inside the world of an Agatha Christie novel, a totally different set of rules applies. You get a guarantee of order.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? We don't read her books for the thrill of the murder itself. We read them for that deep, profound satisfaction of seeing all that chaos get resolved, of seeing the puzzle solved and the world put right again. And that is the promise of every single one of her books. No matter how tangled the web of lies gets, no matter how clever the killer is, we know with absolute certainty that by the final page, everything will be explained, justice will be served. And that's a powerful and honestly a deeply comforting idea.
So, the evidence has been presented. We've examined all the clues, we've explored the motive.
I think it's time to close this case and deliver the final verdict on the enduring legacy of Agatha Christie.
So, let's just quickly review the evidence. We started with those frankly staggering sales figures. We uncovered her masterful formula, that perfect puzzle box. We met her unforgettable detectives, our guides to the truth. And finally, we found the motive, the profound psychological comfort her stories give us.
So, the case is solved. Agatha Christie endures because she mastered the art of providing certainty. In a world that often feels random and unjust, she built these little worlds where every single question gets an answer and every wrong is made right. She wasn't just selling mysteries, she was selling resolution.
Her genius was creating a formula that's absolutely timeless, because it speaks to this fundamental human need for order. So the real question isn't if you should read her, but where should you begin? Which of her perfect puzzle boxes will you try to unlock first?